if you've been there when in your Christian life or with God you've suddenly hit the wall, or a wall, one of several along the way. And it can, for a start, it can feel like a very lonely place. You feel it's just you and the wall, and you can't see through it, you can't see around it. And it's a bit of a shock. It's one of those little learning opportunities that come our way. Some call it major crises. And some of them, sometimes they just evolve out of your normal everyday life, course of life, age, job, kids, friends, and so on. And sometimes God plants walls in front of you deliberately in order to teach you something, to prepare you for something. Sometimes God brings stuff up so he can deal with something, so he can heal you. Gordon MacDonald writes this: I have become increasingly aware of the enormous amount of activity inside of me that I neither understand nor fully control. Impressions, attitudes, urges, motives, and initiatives bubble up, and out of that darkened space, and not all of it is noble. It's similar to all the physical activities deep inside my body that I don't know much about either. It just happens with or without my consent. I don't know if you ever felt that. Where stuff comes up and you don't understand it, neither can you control it. Neither did you know it was there. But suddenly you hit the wall and you can't go on. And it's a bit of a shock. If you've ever been there, or if you are there right now, let me just tell you that walls are normal. It's quite normal. There's nothing unusual about them. You haven't done anything outrageously wrong that suddenly you bang your head against the wall that you couldn't see. In fact, perhaps you'd need to celebrate the fact that you've hit it, that you've noticed you've hit it. Can you remember in the olden days when computer games were very basic and that you could control these little characters that walked, and you sort of walked them against the wall and they carried on walking like this, and it looked incredibly funny. Some people are like that. They hit the wall and they carry on walking without noticing that they've stopped making any progress, and they just carry on walking, thinking that they're getting somewhere, when in fact they're just not getting anywhere. So celebrate the fact that you've noticed you've hit it. And the question really is, what kind of a wall is it? The next quote is an interesting one. That's the wall. Next one. There. The manner in which one endures what must be endured is more important than the thing that must be endured. The manner in which one endures what must be endured is more important than the thing that must be endured. How you overcome or how you break through the wall, with what attitude and perspective and stamina and who with, is probably more important than the actual thing that's blocking your way. It could be a variety of things. They're on there as well. It could be perhaps memories, stuff that holds you back from the past. When you hit a crossroads and you think, I've been here before, and last time I failed terribly. Somebody has said that to me before, and last time it was with really bad motives and I got burned, and that can stop you in your tracks. You can't believe what the other person is saying. The question is, does the past determine your future? And it's a yes and a no, isn't it? It could be temptation. Perhaps you're simply tempted to stop. You can't blame him after, 19 miles with a sprained ankle. You can't blame him for hitting the wall and simply wanting to stop. You're tempted to stop. Of course you are. When I run, I run 2-3 times a week. When I run, the first few yards are great, because I've made the effort and I'm thinking, this is good. I'm going to feel so much better. I'm proud of myself that I dragged myself out instead of falling asleep, and now I'm running. But then, can you remember a couple of weeks ago, I said, if you drag your cupboard along the road for 3 miles, it won't last very long. It feels like I'm that cupboard for about 100, 200 yards. It doesn't feel nice. You're thinking, why am I doing this? Shall I just go back? My ankle is hurting already. But then, and you're tempted to stop. I'm thinking, this is a long way. It's a round course that I'm doing. It's a long way around. There's no shortcut. Wouldn't it be much better if I just sat down? Perhaps it's temptation. Temptation in itself, there's nothing wrong with it. Everybody's tempted. Perhaps it's doubt. Perhaps you think, this whole running with God business, what's that all about? Matti and I watched Extreme Engineering the other day, where they built the sea defense walls, or the breakwater walls around Venice. Venice gets flooded all the time, so they build these sea defenses, and they make concrete blocks, huge thingamajigs, and they pour the concrete in, and do you know what they do then? They go in with what looks like one of those hand mixers, only bigger, and they rattle the concrete. Malcolm will know about that as well. They rattle it and they stir it and stuff in order to get all the air bubbles out. Because with air bubbles, it's not as strong. But if they rattle it like this, it makes it stronger. If you feel at the moment that perhaps somebody, or maybe it's even God, is rattling your cage, He does that to make you stronger, to get rid of these air bubbles, those little pockets of doubt that remain, that aren't strong, that are unresolved. If He rattles around a bit and has you asking questions that you might not initially straight away find any answers for, if He keeps rattling and if you keep, what is it? I don't understand this, and you pursue it, those air pockets will go and they will make your faith stronger. Perhaps it's disappointment. Perhaps you're disappointed in yourself, that after so many years of life and so many years with Jesus, you'd think you'd overcome these stupid walls by now. Perhaps you're just disappointed in God, and maybe you need to be honest about that. God's been around for a while, and He's been around with us humans for a while. He's probably heard the complaint before, and He likes hearing it. He likes us talking to Him about it. Perhaps your wall is sin. God sometimes turns up the heat to bring something to the surface, and children are a great tool in bringing stuff up, attitudes that you never thought you had, and it's sometimes, I must admit, sometimes you're shocked at your own ugly response, and sometimes God's purifying heat, the level of it can be uncomfortably high, because He brings stuff to the surface that isn't pretty, isn't noble, as Gordon MacDonald said. And like we said earlier, perhaps it's in those times, it's simply time to revisit the cross. Let Him pour mercy on you again. Let him say again, I forgive you. I know it's in there anyway. Now you know too. Let's deal with it at the foot of the cross, and then you can carry on. Maybe your wall is simple fear. I know a lot about fear because I take people for the driving tests. And it's a strange thing. They've got nothing to worry about. I say to them, look, for all it's worth, I'd give you the key of my car for the weekend. And I would let you pass. You just have to convince the examiner as well. And they can do it, and they're still petrified. And there's nothing reasonable about it. but it's very real. And no, you will know there's nothing you can say or think to make real fear go away. You know, they say mind over matter. You know, but the people who break through, they're still afraid, they're still petrified, but they nevertheless do it. And I'm very proud of them. So the question is really, what's your wall made of? What's it consist? What kind of brick is it? Is it fear? Is it disappointment? Is it doubt, memories, temptations, whatever it is? Let's ask the question how to overcome it. A guy from Hawaii whose name I can't pronounce, Wayne something, says, we can become more concerned with the absence of problems than with the presence of God. We can become more concerned with the absence of problems than with the presence of God. So often you find yourself, Lord, praying, Lord, please make this go away. Make it be yesterday, and now is today, and don't let me go through this. You know, just lift me out of it. You know, just beam me away from this situation. Beam me away from the crying and the heartache. Just take me out of it. And maybe sometimes we need to pray something else. We need to pray that I'm here now, but please just be with me now. You know, we often in recent days talked about the footprints in the sand. Perhaps the prayer is not, Lord, just take me off the beach, but Lord, please just carry me. How would that change our perspective when we're in the middle of things, when we're right in front of the wall? Let's see what Fat Boy does with the wall.